Hello and welcome to Automotive. My name is Logan, and today what we're going to be working on is the beginning of our install of the Jeep WJ steering wheel into the Mastodon, my 2000 Jeep Cherokee. I ended up deciding to split this video into two different parts, so this first part is going to be just the prep work and how to rewire as well as set up your steering wheel, and then the next part is going to be actually installing the steering wheel into the Jeep. If you're wondering how to do the install for just cruise control, like your Jeep did not come with cruise control, buddy of mine, DIY Trent, he has a channel as well, and I gave him all the components from my XJ over to him, the steering wheel and an extra servo, clock spring, all of that over to him so that he could do install it into his Jeep, which I will put a link in the description to his video. So if you guys have a Jeep XJ that does not have cruise control at all, go check out his video on how to do the install for that, and make sure to go like and subscribe to his page, and let's just go ahead and get into it. Alright, so like I said, today what we're working on is the Jeep WJ steering wheel that is going to go into my Jeep XJ. One of the reasons why I'm doing this is that the Jeep XJ is a leather wrapped steering wheel, where this is not. The leather wrapping on the Jeep XJ as well as the WJs has a tendency to become brittle when not taken care of. And if you've acquired your XJ after years of abuse by someone else or years of neglect from somebody else, then you are most definitely going to need to eventually redo your steering wheel. So what you can see is that the steering wheel layout is different as well, where your cruise control settings are. I will go over on how to install cruise control onto an XJ that doesn't already have cruise control, but that'll also be kind of encompassed in this video. Might be an independent video, not entirely sure yet. But what we have here is the WJ steering wheel. The steering wheel itself is from a 2003 and up Grand Cherokee, but the airbag and the controls are from a 2001 and earlier. I believe I got this out of a 2001. So you got to keep this in mind when we start dealing with some of the pieces parts that we're dealing with, or that we have here. So the airbag, you need to make sure that you have from a 2000 or a 99 to 2001, because of the fact that the airbag itself is a different charge. This is a single phase airbag. The 02 and up is a dual charge or dual phase airbag. And if you do not get the right phase, your airbags will not work properly. This one has one single plug-in in the rear and of the airbag, and it's easily just popped off with a flathead screwdriver. So we're going to put that off to the side. Also, the way that this is retained in here is just by two 8mm sockets that come up through the rear of the housing. So we got your airbag. These controllers, it doesn't really matter what year you get them out of, but you want to make sure that they still look relatively good. These are actually a really good set of them, and the words aren't really faded out or anything like that. I have found that the actual buttons themselves can be removed from these housings, and these buttons are the same ones that you would find in a Jeep Liberty KJ. So if you are having issues finding good buttons, then you can remove the buttons themselves from a Liberty and pop them into these housings. The silver surround that's from the KJ will not work with these switches. So make sure that you get a set of these switches. The next thing that we have is the steering wheel itself. Again, the steering wheel design and layout didn't change, so you're pretty much good there. Now what I'm going to do from here is I'm going to actually get in here and pop out this rear backing from the steering wheel and move the steering wheel off to the side, because currently don't need that. Now then, the thing about this steering wheel and this rear backing is that it has the radio controls. These radio controls are available in the 02 and up model of the Grand Cherokee. There is a way to swap it so that these buttons work in an 01, a 99 to 01 Grand Cherokee. Then there's also a write-up on how to install an 01 steering wheel and clock spring into an XJ. And that's what we're going to be working on today, is fully tying it all in together so that you can have volume controls from a WJ Grand Cherokee in your Jeep XJ. So, like I said, get these buttons and this whole rear surround from an 02 and up WJ. The next thing you're going to need is the clock spring. So, this is your clock spring. This clock spring controls everything from your airbag to your horn, your cruise control, and all the volume controls. You know you have the right clock spring from a 99 to 2001 WJ if you have a single 6-pin plug here. That is important. Again, if you don't get the right clock spring, your airbags will not function properly, plus the pinouts will not be correct. And then on the back, you obviously then have the output for both your all of your wiring outputs to be able to read and send signal to the ECM as well as receive power. And I'll go over with you guys on later in the video or in the next video what all these wires mean and what pins they go to. But remember, this needs to come out of a 99 to 2001 WJ. The next thing you're going to need is this harness. This harness sits inside of the steering column. This is the harness for a 99 to 01 Grand Cherokee. You have to have this harness because you need this plug-in. Now then, if you look, this plug-in, this 6-pin plug-in that goes into our clock spring only has 3 wires in it. And that is where we are going to adjust in order to get some of our volume controls. So, you need one of these, and then on top of that, you are going to need one of these. This is the wiring harness from the 02 and up Grand Cherokee. These 2 plugs, 4-pin plugs, are what control your cruise control. These 2-pin plugs are what control your volume controls. From there, they plug in back over here to these 2 plug-ins. And this is why I said it's important that you get the right clock spring. Obviously, and this is also why you need 2 different harnesses. These will not go into that clock spring. It's not going to happen. Will not work. So what we're going to have to do is open up both harnesses and splice the wires from this harness into that harness. So I haven't done any of this yet. So we are going to go try this together, and we're going to cut this open and we're going to pull these pins out, and we are going to make one harness that we actually need. Alright, so now what we need to do is remove the pins from here so we can put them in our new harness. And how we are going to do that is we should be able to open this connector up in order to salvage these plugins. And we need to be very careful because we do need to salvage these ends in order to install this piece into our other harness and not stab ourselves in the hand, because that always hurts. So we should be able to pop that out, pop that out, and in theory, I mean, come on. And there we go. We popped the little lock up. So it was pry off on both sides, and then pop the lock up and out of the way, and you should come out. You should come out. Okay, it should come out. So what we might need to do is push a little. Alright, pushing a little is not working. That was a terrible life choice. Don't do that. Alright, so these things are locked in here. That direction. I can't tell which direction it locks. So, I've got these little keys. These little keys I picked up on Wish. We are going to insert these keys. I think the flat side is going to be the flat side of this. I don't know if I need to go in from the forward or from the rear. Alright, we're going to do some exploratory surgery and figure out what we're dealing with. Chop that off. Let's cut that off. We're getting there. I can see more of it now. Well, let's pop off this other side too then. Why don't we just pop the bottom off while we're at it? Sure. Just be careful not to break your lines. But right now, what I'm doing is tearing this apart so you don't have to. That way if I break it, I'll just go pick up another one. Haha. So, what was the side with the little clippy has, hold on, let me open this up. Alright. So I'm hoping you guys can see this. The side that had the clip has a little flipper right here that you should be able to slide this thing up in there, get up underneath of it, push up just a bit, and it should release. Like so. And there we go. Exploratory surgery. Promise. It was very vital. But with that and our wonderful exploratory surgery, I am going to call it a night. You guys aren't going to know any different because, well, editing. So, bye. All right. Thank you guys for joining me on this. Obviously, this is the beginning of the prep work, like I said. Part 2 will be coming out next week. And again, thanks for joining in this week. Make sure to like the channel. Make sure to subscribe. If you want to go pick up Ouroboros Automotive gear, go check out my website. I'll leave a link in the description as always. That definitely helps me try to get some of this stuff done so that I can post all this stuff. It just shows your support. And again, thanks you guys. Keep moving forward with your projects, and I'll catch you guys next week.